Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Datejust 2. This is the reference 116333, 41mm in Rolex's own yellow gold. They have their own foundry, of course, and Rolex's highly anti-corrosive 904L stainless steel. The watch on my 16cm circumference wrist wears like the 2009 to 2015 Datejust 2 models, which is to say 41mm in diameter, though not a terribly thick watch. It measures 12.2mm thick with a sloped flank, so you're good to go to wear this underneath just about any cuff. It is a big boy, as Rolex Oysters go. Not quite Sea Dweller or Explorer 2 or Yachtmaster 2 big, but 49.6 lug-to-lug, and if you include the solid end links of the Oyster bracelet, which was the only choice on the Datejust 2, then you wind up with a burlier 51.2mm across the wrist. So I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as, I would say, 15cm circumference, maybe 14.5 if your wrist is oval in profile rather than round. The spacing between the lugs 21mm, so the stance or the footing on the wrist is proportional to the size of the case. Popping the clasp open. This is something I see almost as a phenomenon unique to Rolex watches, but it's people selling the watch before they've really enjoyed it. Now, I don't know if they're just gun shy about the depreciation or if they think Rolex is a sell high candidate, but it is sad to see a watch arrive with almost all of the original factory plastic still in place inside and out. And while the original owner of this watch surely lost out on the opportunity to enjoy a fine timepiece, I guess it is to the advantage of the next owner that you're almost getting the full new Rolex experience right down to the stickers. The bracelet is the Oyster. Now, for the last decade plus, the Oyster has been a redoubtable thing. Solid end links, solid center links, differential link alignment, polished centers, satin flanks, polished outer faces. You could see screws fixing the removable links, and again, very solid. You have a milled out clasp with a lift lock system. There's a beak and a hook, and it snaps shut. So while it looks like a friction fit system, you can't just pull it open. You have to lift the vertical trigger and unlock it. Finished internally, as this is a flagship Rolex piece, it also features the Rolex Easylink, the 5mm tool-free adjustment system that's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link, but with no need to resort to a screwdriver. There are also 3 divots inside the clasp that allow you to change the anchoring point and thus change the fit of the watch without actually removing any links. Jumping back to the case, you can see that even though this was one of the larger Rolex models, it is not the super case. The case flanks look like, well, a larger version of a Datejust or a Day-Date, a graceful traditional Rolex case profile with compound curves, all of high polish on the flanks as well as the lug hoods. The bezel is broader on the Datejust 2 than it is on the Datejust 41 of 2016, and so if you are into the all gold dial look, and this watch has a dramatic sunburst gold dial, it actually helps that the bezel is larger, heavier, and more gold dominant to continue basically extending that dial all the way out to the edge of the case, giving the watch the appearance of a 42 or even a 43 on the wrist. And of course, this watch being basically unworn, the bezel has never been refinished, and you have that gem-like cut jewel twinkle that is characteristic of a fresh Rolex fluted precious metal bezel. Jump into the dial side, you can see that the hands, the Rolex crown, and the indices themselves are yellow gold. They will never ever tarnish or oxidize. That's why Rolex uses gold on its dials, even in steel watches. A sunburst that some might describe as champagne, but no, this is pure gold. This is a golden metallic hue with Arabic numerals outboard of the indices, and as you can see, the Cyclops eye, which I feel proportionally wears better on a larger dial and a larger watch, whereas I feel that it sort of crowds the 36mm and smaller Rolex watches. The Cyclops magnifier is both practical and nicely balanced on the bigger watch. Inside the case, a movement never used on any other Rolex watch. Caliber 3136, which is basically the 3135 with a larger date disc mechanism, but also it features Rolex's own Paraflex shock protection, something not featured on the 3135, so it is even more Rolex in-house than the 3135. But the basic specs are the same. Automatic winding, 48-hour power reserve, 28,800 vibrations per hour, stop second, quick set date, COSC chronometer, screw down crown, Rolex twin lock, 100 meters water resistant. It has a free sprung balance with a full balance bridge for shock resistance. It has an overcoil hairspring to help the watch gain that chronometer certification by beating concentrically and keeping the same time, for the most part, in any orientation with respect to gravity. By the way, that Breguet overcoil is made by hand at Rolex. And then finally, the overcoil is made of Rolex's blue oxidized niobium zirconium in-house alloy known as Parachrom Blue, making this 31 joule movement highly anti-magnetic. Rolex Datejust 2, plenty of lume by night, and water resistant, full bracelet automatic. Looks like a sports watch to me.